All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Steve from SoCast. I am the manager of client success here at SoCast, and I oversee all client-facing initiatives. So that includes our SoCast Ads business and SoCast Ad Extension, as well as our technical support, client success initiatives, and so on. I have the privilege today of walking you through our switch to SoCast advertising campaign, and this presentation is going to introduce you to our SoCast Ad Extension Programmatic Advertising business line, and we'll discuss a little bit about what SoCast can offer you in terms of generating revenue for your organization and how you can really frame yourselves to be the digital advertising solution for your local markets. So a few housekeeping items before we get started. At any time, we hope that this session will be informative but also engaging. And so we do ask that if you have any questions, please send them through to us. The SoCast webinar toolbar has a questions panel available on generally the right-hand side of your screen. There is a questions menu there where you can submit your question and our team will respond to you. Additionally, we like to engage with you on social media. So please follow our social media channels. We have @SoCast on Twitter. We also have Facebook and Instagram. If you're going to be tweeting us, use the hashtag #DigitalDollars so that our team can see those tweets and we can engage with you. As I mentioned, my name is Steve Ulrich, and I am the manager of client success here at SoCast. My colleague, Tom Pankvison, he's our digital advertising executive and strategist, and usually he is the one that is walking you through this presentation today, but unfortunately was not able to attend today. So I am, I guess, the next best thing, I hope. So let's get started. So a bit of our agenda today. We are going to walk through the direction of advertising. Where does it stand? It's been a very tumultuous year for all of us, regardless of our country, regardless of our state, our province. We are in the thick of a global pandemic, and there is no saying unlike the saying that says we are all in this together, and we truly are. We'll talk a bit about the advertising direction. We'll also talk about what competitors provide. So SoCast is not the only player in this industry, and there are many other vendors and services that offer programmatic advertising solutions. We'll discuss some common challenges. We'll discuss the SoCast solution specifically, and then we'll finish off with some of our partners' experiences. We want you to hear directly or see directly from the source on some of their experiences, and we'll finish off with next steps. So if this is your first time joining a SoCast webinar or your first time engaging with SoCast, we are the premier integrated content management and digital advertising platform for broadcasters. That last piece, digital advertising platform for broadcasters, that is what we are discussing today, and it is really a conception that has been in flight now for approximately 2 years, and we continue to develop it and build it out further and further, all in the favor of supporting our clients, broadcasters, with their digital initiatives and revenue growth. So this year, the radio industry in 2019, they just came off a record year for digital. For the first time ever, radio's digital ad revenue topped $1 billion during 2019. That's a 25% increase compared to 2018. This was referenced in Inside Radio, if you follow Inside Radio blog articles, but it just means that there is exponential growth in digital advertising and revenue associated with it. And now is the time, if you haven't endeavored in this is a revenue stream that can be very, very beneficial for your organization and your bottom line. Programmatic advertising leverages the latest technologies to effectively place your client advertisements on thousands of premier websites in front of their target buyer. So if you're not familiar with programmatic advertising, it essentially boils down to this premise. It is reaching the right person in the right place at the right time to maximize the ability of a conversion, which would be a purchase or a sign up, or whatever that advertisement is meant to achieve. Programmatic is the ability to make sure that you're reaching those right people. For decades, we have used print advertising, audio, radio advertising, and all of those have served us extremely well. But they have always been done on the notion of hoping that you reach the right people, potentially in the right place or at the right time when they're ready to purchase. But otherwise, programmatic advertising is done in a way that we exclusively target those people that have expressed interest in the product or service that is being advertised. So what will programmatic help you achieve? Well, you're going to become the local advertising leader in your market, and chances are the neighboring radio or the neighboring TV station, potentially the neighbor radio station, but likely the neighboring TV station, and maybe a marketing firm or advertising firm in your local community is already offering advertising services, but there really isn't a lot of people doing this in local areas, and there is a higher and higher demand for digital advertising experts. We are also going to help you and your organization make more money. At the end of the day, the whole premise to this business and the whole premise to this industry is to get the advertiser's message out, but generate revenue for those who are working in the industry. And that equates to the salespeople that work in your organizations as well, is making more money for the organization. We're going to help you get more of your ad partners' budgets. So you already likely have long-standing ad partners that have been with you for years, potentially decades, in the radio industry, advertising on audio spots on your stations. They have larger budgets than what they give you. And in many cases, these ad partners are already doing digital advertising. Maybe they're trying it on their own on Facebook, or maybe they are working with someone else at this point. But the fact of the matter is that there is more budget to obtain in the digital advertising realm. We're going to help bring new advertisers to your station. So as soon as you start promoting yourself and branding yourself as a digital solution, radio is really at a crossroads, or has been over the last couple of years, with the evolution of digital. Radio stations are no longer just a transmitter, a tower, and the local airwaves with a microphone, and you have to tune in at a certain time. That's really not the definition of radio anymore. Radio is and lives and breathes and exists everywhere we are, on the internet, on our mobile devices, on our computers, in our cars. Radio is everywhere, and radio is digital. And so by branding yourself as a new digital business, a new digital solution, and a full entire radio organization that offers every service an advertiser could ever imagine, you're going to attract new advertisers to your station. We'll help you target specific advertisers. So maybe there's a business line that you always wanted to tap into, automotive industry, or tourism and travel industry, which, on the off or outside of this pandemic, when we begin recovery, that travel and tourism industry is really going to need some help, and they're really going to need to, spend their advertising dollars extremely carefully to target those specific people that want those vacations. I certainly am waiting to book one, but the fact of the matter is that there will be budget there, and there will be a need for this type of service. We're going to also help target audiences outside your local range. Programmatic advertising is the one advertising solution that does not require any sort of geographical boundaries. So if you're on the East Coast of the country and you form a relationship digitally, because that's how all relationships are taking place right now, which is also, I guess, a slight benefit, is that you could form a digital relationship with a business or an advertiser on the West Coast of the country, and you could programmatically run a campaign for them and entertain their digital budget without having to be in the same location. And lastly, attribute results for your ad partners. This is the key piece to the puzzle here, and this is the one piece that has long been missing with our traditional media and advertisers in previous advertisements, is that the ability to attribute that someone saw the ad in the newspaper unless that consumer was to tell you that they saw the ad and that's why they're there, you're likely just hoping that they saw it and it was a guess. With programmatic, you have definitive metrics that are provided in real time and regular intervals so that you can keep your advertiser up to date. So where is digital headed? And first and foremost, of course, I'm going to precursor this with saying that a global pandemic was not something any of us had predicted or had set in our sights. And so as business people ourselves, I'm sure all of our projections for 2020 have been turned upside down. And so too is the advertising industry. But the key piece to remember here is that out of all advertising mechanisms, the one that has stayed true and strongest throughout the pandemic and likely will is programmatic advertising. And if we think back to earlier this year, many of our regions in Canada, United States, and across the world faced some sort of lockdown at some point. And many of us weren't allowed to leave our houses. Businesses were closed, services were not allowed to provide their services. But we still, as consumers, had a need to consume groceries, technology devices, and things. And so how did we do that? We did that through digital buying. We did that through online shopping. And a lot of the digital campaigns that have been running over the course of this pandemic have been targeted towards, have been done for businesses and targeted towards consumers that are looking for those products. So, you know, out of all traditional mediums, when we're thinking of advertising, digital stands the test of time because regardless of whether we're locked down or not, we still have our digital devices, we still have our mobile networks, and we still do engage in online purchasing and activity. A couple key points here, and again, you know, I would suspect these numbers are going to shift, absolutely, but I think the growth potential will still remain the same. So from 2019, coming off that $129.34 billion spent on digital, 54.2% of advertisers' budgets were used exclusively for digital. It was estimated that by 2021, e-commerce will generate 4.5 trillion in online sales. I'm estimating that that amount will be higher given the fact that at some point throughout this year, online e-commerce was the only thing we had available. And so companies like Shopify are already stating that they have seen record-breaking e-commerce sales in online sales. So it will be interesting to see how we round out the end of 2020 and into 2021. By 2023, it's projected that 66.8% of advertisers will use digital advertising. That is almost 70% of advertisers. So we're talking all advertisers in the market space. Almost 70% of them will use digital advertising, and that there is the single most important fact here is that if you're not in the digital advertising space, it's time to get there. If you look at the bar chart here along the bottom, the blue represents the digital, and if you notice, it is the advertising medium that continues to grow year over year. And yes, you know, we will see a differentiating factor for 2020, but the growth is still, you know, level steps. If you look at it that way, you're stepping up and you continue to step up. 2016 to 2018 were somewhat leveled off, but then 2019, like we said, was that record-breaking year, and 2020 is still looking to be higher along the way. US programmatic digital display ad spending. So this is basically projections as well as what has been achieved through 2019 to 2022 as projected. Again, projections will change. We know that there's been a lot of change in our world this year in particular, but nonetheless, there is that large exponential growth. And so it is projecting that, you know, 2021 and into 2022, we're going to see the programmatic digital display ad spending shoot up. And I'm also willing to bet that in 2020, that is likely, it may remain a bit flat, but I think as we start to see a shift in business operations and advertisers' needs change, there's going to be higher investments in digital advertising because as this year has taught us with the coronavirus, that safety is perceived to be from the comfort of your home. And in many cases, in order to have an advertiser's message seen, programmatic digital advertising is the way to go. In all cases, very, very viable industry, a lot of dollars on the table to be had. And like we said, many advertisers are already buying digital. These charts and graphs, if you don't subscribe to emarketer.com, highly recommend you either subscribe or just check in from time to time. They share some very good insights around the digital advertising industry and reference, their projections and things. So we'll be watching that closely as we move through the remainder of 2020. So with all of that said, you essentially come to this fork in a road. And for some of you joining us today, you may already be endeavoring in programmatic, and maybe you're here thinking, maybe I'll switch to SoCast. What do they have to offer? But you could also be, have not done this with your organization previously, and you're really contemplating what you should be doing. There really is two options. I mean, three, if you look at this graphic here, is you have one option is to compete. So you dive in and you go head first, and you're going to compete with the local TV station. You're going to compete with the local radio station. You're going to compete with the local advertising agency in your marketplace. And maybe you're already competing today, and that's working for you, and that's great. The other option is do nothing. So, I mean, you learned a little bit today, but maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's not something that you could see working in your local marketplace. Maybe you haven't found those ad partners that have the digital budgets, and you opt to do nothing, and that's okay too. If that works for your organization, absolutely. That third option is compete with the highest level with SoCast. So competing at the highest level with SoCast is putting your salespeople in the right place to have the appropriate training, to have the appropriate coaching and strategy, and to have SoCast work on your behalf to make sure that your campaigns are always optimized and they're running at the most efficient opportunity so that your advertisers receive the highest return on their investment. Working with SoCast also gives you the level up on the competition, where we keep an insight on those industry projections. We keep insight on the best practices and the do's and don'ts, and the constant evolution of the advertising industry from country to country, state to state. We are following the best practices and provide you with the utmost service, support, and strategy coaching along the way. So we're talking a little bit about what SoCast is going to do, and why competing at the highest level with SoCast would be good for you. But we're not going to shy away to say that there isn't other players in this industry. Of course, there are other programmatic advertising or DSP services in the industry that you could utilize. But we are willing to lay our cards on the table to say that we are well versed in the radio industry, simply by way of our omni-channel integrated platform. And we've been around the radio industry for many, many, many years. Radio is in our DNA. But some of our other partners, they may provide you some prolonged support response time. So they'll support you, but it'll be at their discretion. Might take a day or two to get a response back. With SoCast, our support will respond to you generally within the same day, and most of the time within a few minutes. But you also have the ability to schedule calls with our team and go over strategy and really discuss a plan of attack for that advertising campaign. Our competitors may offer average DSP capabilities. So, there's many different platforms and technology in the space. And I'm sure a lot of them have the ability to target, by age or target by location. But they don't likely have the ability to target to the very, very niche targeting capabilities we have with contextual targeting, behavioral targeting, income targeting, zip codes, you name it, the list goes on. Minimal brand safety integrations. So most industry players have some sort of integrations to prevent fraud, to ensure brand safety. SoCast is partnered with integrations like Peer 39 and Fraud Logics to ensure all of our campaigns are legitimate. All of the impressions that are received on a campaign, they are from real people. They're not from human click farms or bot traffic, anything like that. Average refresh rates. On average, our industry competitors have a refresh rate on their platform of 3 to 24 hours. SoCast Ad Extension, we have a 60-second, 1-minute refresh rate. And why that's important is that every minute the platform refreshes to optimize to the most relevant and most recent data that it has captured from consumers in the digital world. The advantage there is that if the consumer drastically changed their behavior and they decided to throw away their smartphone and remove themselves from the digital space, it would take 3 to 24 hours for our competitors' platforms to actually sense that change in behavior. Our platform would pick up on that change every 60 seconds. It would be refreshing to ensure that those changes that are expressed in the digital space are always picked up. Tier 1 to 3 inventory access. Generally, a lot of our competitors will typically go for lower inventory in favor of lower CPM rates or higher margins, things of that nature. Our platform and our service is always targeting the highest possible inventory available. So depending on the campaign and the targeting tactics for that campaign, we are going out to buy the best inventory where possible. And in some cases, we'll buy the most expensive inventory one day and a cheaper inventory the next day, so that by the end of the campaign, everything has balanced out and you are still getting the most efficient campaign progress and return on investment for your advertiser. Limited progress reporting. So something that we hear all the time from clients that switch to SoCast is that their previous vendor, they had to ask for progress reports. We email them automatically on a weekly basis, but can be on a higher interval or less interval if you prefer. But we send that data directly to you. And in fact, it is sent directly from the DSP platform. We don't open the file. We don't manipulate the numbers. You are getting the raw data right out of the platform where your campaign is running. So you can rest assured that that data is raw data directly from the ads platform. Minimal sales tools and training. This is the other piece that we know that our competitors are not practicing regularly, and that is the investment and time investments into coaching and training and sales collateral like proposals and case studies, tools that salespeople need for conversations, things that they can print off and show a potential advertiser to get them to buy into the service and buy into the campaign that they're proposing. So we did a little analysis on what our competitors offer versus us. Well, what are those challenges that we hear? It really comes down to the 5 most common challenges that we hear. One is that organizations, whether it's radio, that work with us can't grow digital fast enough, meaning that you're trying to get those digital dollars, you're trying to increase the budgets, and your advertisers are just not budging. They don't want to increase their budget. They don't want to buy a digital campaign. And the sales team are kind of at a loss because they don't have that coaching or training to support them. Well, SoCast Ads is here to help with that. The sales staff can't sell digital campaigns. We hear this every single time we start a new relationship with a potential advertising organization or radio station, is that, well, my sales reps, they've been selling audio spots for the last 10 years. They're never going to sell digital. They don't know it. They don't get it. They don't want to learn. Well, one of our highest grossing sales reps to date in our client portfolio was exactly one of those sales reps that had only ever sold audio and didn't know digital, and told me personally that she didn't think she would ever be able to grasp this, and now she's one of the highest grossing sales reps in SoCast ads industry portfolio as a whole. So the other one is vendor fatigue. There's nothing more exhausting than receiving 10 different invoices from 10 different companies with 10 different due dates, and 10 different support channels or 10 different contact people. You got to contact this person for that and this person for that thing. SoCast, through our core product offering with websites, mobile apps, Alexa voice skills, and now programmatic advertising, we really are a one-stop shop. And like I said at the beginning, we are the premier integrated content management and advertising system for broadcasters. Lack of expert support. There's nothing more frustrating for a salesperson to ask for insight on how to close a sales deal and not receive tangible, actual expert opinion from somebody in the advertising industry. And SoCast has a dedicated advertising team, and that team hails from the advertising industry. They come with a wealth of knowledge and expertise in the advertising industry that can help salespeople with best practices and those conversations. And lastly, minimal profit margins. Of course, like we said, this whole industry, the whole service is about making money for your organization, and SoCast can help with our flexible options and different incentivized programs when it comes to SoCast programmatic advertising. So when I gave you that vision of the fork in the road, the third option was compete at the highest level with SoCast. Well, how do we do that? Well, it really comes down to three main pillars. Digital education. This is our SoCast Ads module certification program. And if you follow us on social media, you would have seen probably a couple of months ago now, we had our first graduating class of sales reps, and they receive a certificate. The certificate is signed by our Chief Operating Officer and our co-founder, as well as our digital advertising executive and strategist, Tom. Both execute this certificate, and it states that the sales rep has completed the module certification training, module 1, and has expressed the understanding and the learning in digital advertising by way of practicing digital advertising and booking sales. We also have module 2, which is a in-depth look at things like OTT for over-the-top inventory, video pre-roll, and more defined targeting tactics. So we break those into 2 certifications, but both have the ability to achieve a certificate. And of course, as a digital partner, we like to make those announcements on social media and congratulate everybody because it is a large milestone, particularly for those sales reps that are converting from the traditional audio salesperson to now becoming a full-fledged digital salesperson. Technological capabilities. So as I mentioned, our DSP platform, 60-second refresh rate. That is the key piece to the competition here, but also in conjunction with our human staff that work in conjunction with algorithms and artificial intelligence. We have the advertising expertise to go along with the technological capabilities to make sure that the campaigns are always running the most efficiently. And lastly, the white glove service and support. As part of our service packages, we offer things like co-pitching. So that is the ability where the sales rep can request for a SoCast representative to join them on a pitch presentation with the advertiser. And we will assist the sales rep in pitching the presentation, answering any technical questions, and ultimately and ideally closing the campaign deal and moving that campaign into a live in-flight campaign. Additionally, we also provide support. So we have live chat support directly from the SoCast platform. So if a sales rep gets stuck doing something, putting a proposal together in the platform and they're not sure what to do, they can reach out to us on live support. And so some of those items I covered off. There's that 3-legged sales calls, the co-pitching, the certification program, as I mentioned, site visitation. So Understandably, this one is currently on hold, but I'm sure when our world returns to some normalcy, potentially in 2021, I'm hoping, we do have the ability for larger campaign budgets where we can arrange a SoCast representative to actually fly down or drive down, depending on where you are, to join in-person presentations. But certainly for the foreseeable future, that opportunity will be on hold. So remote co-pitching is still available. Weekly and bi-weekly sales leader check-ins. So on the SoCast dashboard, which we will be showing you in a moment, there are 2 user roles. There is a salesperson and there is a sales leader. And the difference between them is that the sales leader has access to reporting. So you can see all of the activity for all sales people in your organization. And that sales leader will also have the ability to have a check-in with our digital advertising executive and strategist, Tom, where he will actually walk through your campaign progress, maybe give you some tips and pointers on coaching your sales staff to higher close rates, and giving some insight into some of the things that we see from the submissions of the salespeople. The sales enablement dashboard, that's the technology that we've built and that the sales reps will be logging into to use. We'll show you that shortly. On-demand expert analysis and support, white labeled sales materials, all of our sales materials that we create, they're not branded with SoCast. They are generated, particularly our proposal is generated and intended so that you can put your own logo on it if you want, but we create it for you. So it is part of the service that we're providing you. Omni-channel advertising opportunities, that is the one-stop shop. That is the one place to monetize and control everything in one place, and that is our sales enablement dashboard, as well as the opportunity to cross-promote campaigns. So you could run the same campaign on multiple devices, on multiple platforms, social media, mobile apps, and so on. Extensive progress reporting capabilities, as I mentioned, emailed directly to you on a weekly basis, and raw data directly from the DSP platform, and allows the sales reps to compile that data and present it in any way that they see fit for their clients, because of course every client is different. We also offer creative services. So typically in the industry, programmatic advertising, creative, the actual visuals that are run as the campaign, those are usually provided by the advertiser. In some cases, our radio partners will actually design the creative for their advertiser client. But at the end case, if there is a need for creative services, SoCast does have that to provide as well. And we also offer barter opportunities in some instances as well. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Vlad Mimoshin. He is our ad operations specialist, and Vlad is actually the human, the man behind the scenes that works with the technical platform, the demand side platform, in order to build campaigns, optimize campaigns. He's monitoring the campaign's progress on a daily basis, and he is also optimizing campaigns. So if at any time Vlad sees a campaign that is slipping in performance, or it doesn't look like it's going to achieve the objectives that we had set out, Vlad can manually intervene and make those changes for the best optimization. Vlad is going to speak a little bit about the technical integrations, and then he's going to walk us through the SoCast ads platform. So Vlad.
Yeah, thanks for introducing me, Steve. So I would like to talk about how our technological capabilities are actually helping us, you and advertisers on a day-to-day operations. So I would start with the platform refresh rate. So it allows us to see the real-time performance to ensure that our optimization tactics are performing well, or to test new strategies right away. Also, it gives us a possibility to make fast changes to the existing campaigns, so like geo-targeting, demographic, audiences, etc. So, for example, if we have a valuable event to target outside the existing geo that is happening in a 1 week period or something like that. So the sales enablement dashboard gives you the opportunity to monitor status of campaigns sales team performance, access to our knowledge base, view, forecast the performance of campaigns, and much more. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, I guess. So the brand safety and fraud prevention are our top priorities for you and your advertisers. That is why we have an integrated system provided by FraudLogix and Peer 39. So our software is constantly upgrading, so we never miss the new update in the industry. It means that we check the trends, we check the new technologies that show up. Yeah, like for example, now we have a higher trend for CTV and OTT, so we focus on that. Also, we see a lower trend on the desktop traffic, so we want to focus more on the mobile, etc., etc. So in terms of the worldwide presence, Google, for example, has some limitations brought by some political aspects. However, Google is not our only provider. That is why we have access to multiple exchanges that don't have geographic and other limitations. So it means that we can make sure that we can access people in the selected area in any time with any like behavioral or contextual targeting. Yeah, so let's take a look at our dashboard. Just give us a minute, you will change the presentation. Oops. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yep, we're looking at the SoCast ad extension dashboard now.
Okay, awesome. So this is the main campaign screen. Let me just show it. So over here, you can see the list of all campaigns that were created by you or your team. So we have the campaign name, advertisers, salesperson that is working on this campaign. Then we have a breakdown by market. So some of our clients find it quite useful because they can see the performance of each market that they're working in. Also, we have the campaign stage. So we have a few. So there is the proposal requested stage, then proposal awaiting approval, etc., etc. We don't need to talk about this right now. Then we have the total Nat Budget. So it represents the total budget that your client came in with. The rate, you can see the CPM rate that the ad buying process will take. Then the estimated impressions amount, usually it represents the minimum amount. Start and end dates, and the date modified, basically when the campaign was lastly opened. By opening the campaign, you will see all the stages that our campaigns have. So the first one is the campaign creation screen. I'll do a quick rundown over here. So to create a campaign with us, the process is relatively straightforward. You just provide the name, the campaign URL, then you select the type. As we spoke before, we have a few types of campaigns. So we have programmatic display, programmatic video, OTT, then we have social, Google, etc., etc. You provide start and end date, set the budget, add the markup, select the advertiser. So then we ask to provide the objective because, for example, if you're talking about the brand awareness campaign, it has a totally different KPIs and goals comparing to the conversion-oriented campaign. Then we ask for campaign KPIs. For example, if the person wants to track ad recall lift, or conversions, or clicks, or CTR, etc., then you can provide some historical KPIs. So if the advertiser had some campaigns before, they can provide us historical KPIs, so we have some targets to work with. Then we have the target audience screen, where we asked for age, gender, locations, devices. In custom targets, we asked for some probably behavioral or contextual data. So for example, if we're looking for single urbans that are auto owners, something like this, then you can add the household income minimum and max, languages, and provide the creative data. So we have some other stages. In order to see all of them, I would recommend booking a demo with us where we can show you the whole process. Also, I'd like to mention that we have a few reports to use right now. So the first one is Sales Executive Report. It shows the amount of proposals and booked campaigns per market. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a few markets over here. Then you see the number of proposals per market and the number of booked campaigns per market. Also, the amount of total booked dollars, average proposal amount, and average booked amount.
That's great, Vlad. I also wanted to mention that in each of the campaign stages, anything that the sales people upload to the platform, like creatives or their proposals and any of the deliverables for that campaign, those all stay within the platform. So gone are the days that the sales reps need to manage their individual advertising accounts through their email box. They now have a dashboard and a place to manage that. And you, as the sales leader in the organization, have a place to keep track of all of the dollars and cents for each of your markets and your salespeople in your organization, as you're seeing here on the screen. That's awesome, Vlad. Thank you so much. Did you have anything else to review there?
Yeah, just a quick rundown on the sales management report. So here you can see the breakdown of salespeople on your team, and then you can see the similar performance per salesperson. So the amount of proposals, book campaigns, total book dollars, etc., etc.
And so this really paints a picture for a sales leader. You could come in here, filter the data however you want, and you can see easily how many dollars are on the table for the taking, and that's usually represented by the proposal. If you look in the average proposal column where it says 6,800, that's perceived to be dollars on the table that are there for the taking, and really gives you an idea and some insight into each of your sales reps' individual funnels, if you will. So we're going to I'm going to switch the screen back to the presentation here. Thank you for walking us through that, Vlad. And as Vlad mentioned, anybody who would like a more in-depth demo and walk through the actual process as it works, we are more than happy to do that. We have all of our contact information at the end of this presentation on the presentation slides. Vlad's going to walk you through a couple more points here.
Yeah, so speaking of results, we have our own internal research on this question, and we can totally say that average salesperson within the first 4 months reach about 3,700 of net sales, and also on average every salesperson reaches 5,000 net sales monthly after 4 months. So we also see a larger share of advertiser budget. Again, as we discussed before, if you had an advertiser that was working with the radio advertising only, so now you have one more valuable thing to offer. Also, even if they did digital, since we are very performance oriented, the advertiser might see an increase in the result, even if they had an digital advertising campaign before. So overall, how is this beneficial for the advertiser? So we have fast turnaround times, we have higher conversion rates because we always working on the conversion optimization, better market approach and strategy, since we have a dedicated team to strategize the campaign itself, increased understanding of KPI and data, both internally and externally. We're always happy to help and explain you the terminology, all the metrics that you might see in our reports. Greater market reach, because again, we work with various ad exchanges, and it maximizes the reach. Minimize floating ad spend, so we make sure that it's consistent. Creative production relief, yeah, I forgot to mention that we have our own creative services. And anti-fraudulent traffic and activity, again, as I said, we have an integration with the Peer 39 fraud logics and genuine insights that you can find in our reporting, and we can send you some samples of those too. Yeah, so regarding the onboarding, we have lots of sales and content training, both during our training sessions, and also we have our knowledge base where you can find relevant articles, case studies, etc., etc. Then we have white glove project management. So it means that we help you to strategize your advertising campaigns, strategize your activity on the market, and we work with we try to build partnerships, and we work with consulting. So again, as I said before, we are interested in your success.
That's great. Thank you so much, Vlad. And you know, like Vlad said, it really is a whole solution from the top down, where many of the competitors in this space, they may often just be serving your ads or buying your media and serving it for you. We are actually leaving no stone unturned. We are in it for the training and the partnership. We are there to provide project management, helping you and your sales reps strategize a campaign, perhaps across an entire year or multi-month campaign, and what does that look like, and how should the targeting be laid out. And then certainly the partnership and consulting piece is basically to be there as your partner and your consultant through this process every step of the way to ensure that your digital business is growing in your local marketplace, and you are thriving in this industry. So one last piece here that Vlad's going to walk us through is a live real world case study. And this case study is based on a campaign that is actually still running. It's been running in different forms over the course of this pandemic. And Kuhn's Quality Foods is actually a grocery store based out of the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And this client investment that you're seeing relative to the ROI that we've listed there, this campaign is now way far surpassed this investment. Vlad, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the initial investment, as you can see, was about $28,000. And speaking of this initial strategy, we had a few hypotheses of how to run this. So the first one was quite logical. We wanted to target people who do online grocery shopping, people who visit Walmart and some other, let's say, well-known brands. The second one, we wanted to target people who are more concerned about their quality of foods. They're more health-oriented. They do sports. They buy organic foods, etc., etc. And also, we decided to try one more strategy for people who recently became parents. So they're also more health focused, but now for more family members. And we also wanted to target families overall. So speaking of performance, as you can see, our initial projection was about 1.7 million impressions in the area. Well, I believe we surpassed that in the first 5 months, even though it was a one-year campaign, because our projections were made on the previous data that we have, also some market averages, etc., etc. But this campaign is working exceptionally well. So as you can see, the initial CTR projection was about 0.10%, and on the live campaign, it's about 1.6, I would say, so 6 times more engagement rate as we expected. So right now, this client is absolutely happy with the campaign. They decided to double the budget, so now it's doubled. Also, since they had so much traffic, they also started to run the recruitment campaign because they didn't have enough staff to cover all this volume. And overall, it's a great example of how digital advertising can help products and services like this that can switch digital and actually win, or at least be on the flow during the world pandemic right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you know, this Koons grocery store campaign, I was actually the SoCast sales rep that supported on the co-pitching of this way back. I think our co-pitch was about a year and a half ago now. And I remember sitting at a boardroom table with the sales rep, our local sales rep from our partners at Renda Broadcasting Corporation. And myself and the sales rep were sitting there, and we had this discussion with the owner of Koons grocery store. And the budget that they were starting with to just try it out, they had never done digital advertising before, was $2,000. $2,000 was all that they were willing to start with. And we started with a very, very small campaign. They very quickly saw a large return on their investment, and they continued to increase their budget. What you're seeing here at $28,300, as Vlad mentioned, that has already since been doubled, and we are still going. So, you know, with programmatic advertising, the longer the platform has the algorithms and artificial intelligence to optimize and retarget the applicable audience, the better, the stronger the campaign performance can be. And in this particular case, this client at Koons grocery store has seen that value very quickly, and that has reflected in their ever-growing budget, which today this campaign still runs. As Vlad alluded to as well, they took out a second campaign as a result of the pandemic. They needed staff. They needed staff to help with curbside pickup. They needed staff to help with sanitizing the store. And so they ran a recruitment campaign basically in conjunction with this campaign in the Pittsburgh area. And so you can imagine that Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, people part of the demographic for this campaign, 18 to 64, both male and female, are well acquainted with the Koons Quality Foods brand. Thank you for that analysis there, Vlad. So at this point, you know, we talked a little bit about our friends at Renda Broadcasting, and you'll see that testimonial there in the middle from Susan Kelly. She's the general sales manager for Renda Broadcasting Pittsburgh. And Koons grocery store was actually her client. You know, she says here she's extremely happy with our SoCast partnership. The SoCast staff and management team have made themselves available to us at every step of the digital sales process. Whether it's video conferencing, email, or in-person assistance with building campaigns or participation in client meetings, they're a vital partner in regards to our digital sales. Our friends at North American Broadcast Company, Eric McGuire, he's the digital brand manager there. He's happy to say that their sales team has taken huge strides in understanding of not just SoCast digital solutions, but the overall concepts and the strategies that make it easy to create our own digital campaign ideas with our clients. We are not providing our partnership and our training and certification as a way to only make your sales reps eligible to sell SoCast ad extension. We are actually doing this in good faith and all in the notion of partnership to really make your sales reps that digital source for advertising in your local marketplace. We believe that radio has the most potential, more now than any time ever, to position themselves with all of the medium available, the audio, the digital owned and operated inventory, that is leaderboards and big boxes on your own websites or your own mobile apps, and then programmatic advertising as well, which appears on everyone else's websites and mobile apps where that target market is. Lastly, our partners at Harvard Broadcasting, they often attend our webinars. Don't see anybody from Harvard Broadcasting join us today. I'll have to let them know, but they attend our webinars, and we simplify the takeaways for their reps. And in this case, Sarah Ashley Hewitson is the interactive manager, and she is one of our big promoters, and we have shared a lot of knowledge and wealth. Now, one thing to remember, and certainly any existing clients of SoCast would know this, is that even though we may work with a direct competitor to your business line, our dealings with our clients are always 100% confidential and assured through NDA agreements and so on, to ensure that we are providing you and your sales reps and your organization with the utmost relevant information and tools to be successful in this industry. And that is done at a very delicate pace to ensure that we're never, pitting anyone against each other. We believe that there is plenty of learnings and teachings to go around for everyone in the industry, and that is what we aspire to do. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with some questions to ask yourself, and kind of frame this in the center of what are you doing today? How is your organization operating? What is the experience you've had with digital advertising? It may be nothing. Maybe you haven't tried it. You've not tried programmatic advertising at all. Maybe you do owned and operated advertising and you're ready to take that next step. If you have been doing programmatic advertising with someone, is your vendor transparent enough? Do you get that raw data from the ad platform? It's unedited, not manipulated anyway, sent directly to you. Do you understand the fees or margins or things like that? Are you receiving sufficient margins? Are you making enough money, or is this just spinning your wheels? And time is money, and in this case, it's not. The money is not equating to the time. Are your clients' campaigns safe? If you don't know if they're safe, that is probably a bigger, more important question that needs to be answered. But otherwise, are your clients' campaigns safe from fraud? Are they safe from landing on illegitimate websites? Is your sales team omni-channel advertising experts? Do they know how to sell audio, owned and operated leaderboards, big boxes, mobile app banners, and programmatic digital campaigns? Do they know how to sell all of it, or are they only a siloed sales team and they need some training and coaching? Does my sales team have a digital enablement dashboard, and what does our tracking mechanisms entail? Is your sales team currently working out of their Gmail inbox or their Outlook inbox, and they've got folders for every one of their advertiser accounts, and they have to track down that spreadsheet and missed emails, lost emails, and so on? Or do they have a place where they can efficiently track all of their dollars and cents for each of their advertising accounts? And how can I make this whole experience better? This is probably the most important question. And of course, the answer basically comes down to part of the answers from the other questions, but also the answer to the level of expertise and the partnership investment that you receive from your vendor. And should SoCast have the opportunity to work with you in this space, I can assure you, as the manager of client success, that we will devote our time and efforts to each of your salespeople to ensure success. So that brings us to the wrap up here. We do want to keep in touch with you. So if you're an existing client of SoCast, you probably have contact information to many of us. But if you are a first-time SoCast visitor to our webinar, thank you so much for attending. It's been a pleasure to walk you through this presentation today. If you have any follow-up questions, or you want to book a demo, a personalized demo for you or your organization, please email adsales@socastdigital.com and let us know how we can help, what your question is, if you want to book the demo. If you are booking the demo, please be sure to let us know where you heard of us. So if you're on this webinar today, let us know that you attended the webinar. And in doing so, we're going to give you a free ad creative service. It is a value of up to $250 on your first campaign launch. So if you choose to participate with SoCast ads, we will provide you with the free campaign service where we will do the graphic design for you at no charge. And we will also waive any minimum monthly threshold or anything of that nature as an incentive for attending today. You can learn more about all of our products and services at SoCastDigital.com, but more particularly about this campaign and our SoCast ad extension, SoCastDigital.com/switch to SoCast. I am Steve Ulrich. I am the Manager of Client Success here at SoCast, and it has been a pleasure walking you through today's presentation. Thank you again, and all questions can be sent to adsales@SoCastDigital.com. Have a great afternoon, and please be safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.